Hi, everybody. I'm Mary McAlary, and I'm really pleased to be here today and to see all of you here. It's been really insightful for me so far, listening to the programs and learning more about NMO myself. A little bit about me. I'm a holistic health coach. I'm a board member on the Samara Foundation, and I'm also their nutritional consultant. So I figured I was going to be looking out at a bunch of people and they'd all think, oh God, she's going to tell me to start eating broccoli and to give up everything I like with sugar in it and drink kale, and that's going to be the whole gist of my conversation. But I'm not going to do that to you, even though I think that it's all good for you. I won't do that to you. But I thought I would read you a story. So I think everybody likes a story, so I'm going to read you a story. She was a 56-year-old woman who was always worked out and taking care of herself. One night she woke in crippling pain, her entire left side numb. She was unable to move. The ambulance rushed her to a local hospital, and after enough pain medications to take down an elephant, she was told she had a pinched nerve and sent home. Something about that diagnosis didn't seem right to her, so she decided to follow up with her primary care physician. After many tests, most not very pleasant, she was told that she had multiple sclerosis, and that had caused her painful attack, and that she should prepare her life to spend it in a wheelchair. She just couldn't believe that she could have an incurable disease, one that would cripple her. She was scared to death, confused, didn't know what to do. In spite of it all, each day, she tried to walk a little bit further than the day before. One telephone call at a time. Some days she was successful and others she wasn't. She sat on the side of the road and just cried. On one of those walks, she looked down and saw a beautiful butterfly on the side of the road. She bent down and noticed that one of its wings was broken, but it was desperately trying to fly with its remaining healthy wing. She felt just the same as that poor little butterfly. She gently picked it up and placed it in the grass, hoping that it would survive. When she went home, she looked up the symbolism of the butterfly. It was transformation. From that moment on, her life began to change. In 2007, she decided to take a holistic approach to her disease. She applied and was accepted to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York City. Her daughter had graduated the year before and urged her to give it a try. Mom, people are healing themselves and feeling better. You need to go. It seemed impossible to her. She was using a cane at the time, couldn't even get to her mailbox, which was 30 yards away. How the heck was she going to get to New York City? But she persevered. She accepted the invitation to go to the school, and she began classes in the fall of 2007. During that 10-month program, she studied over 100 dietary theories, trying most of them to see if they would help her. She began to eat a clean diet and eliminate preservatives and additives. They taught her methods to reduce stress and to find ways to balance not only her health but her life. Just 6 months later, her symptoms had begun to subside, and she had stopped taking all 18 prescription medications she was taking daily to control the pain of her disease. She was on to something. That person by now, I guess you know, is me. I've learned over the last 11 years of being a holistic health coach how important food is to heal. I do believe that health is integrative. I think when you have something that you can't handle yourself, I kind of equate it to, I have a fire engine story. That if you have a fire in your house and you can handle that fire, try to put it out yourself. I try to put my fire out with food with eliminating chemicals, and I was able to contain the fire. But every once in a while, that fire would flare up, and I would need help to put out the fire. So I would call the fire department, which for me was the medical community. And I would need traditional medical care as well to help me in my path to get well. So I don't advocate just going out and giving up your medications. Always check with your physicians before doing that. But make a commitment to yourself to be your best advocate. Make a commitment to yourself to be as healthy as you can make yourself, to eat healthy, to live cleanly, to exercise, to move, to improve your relationships. You can eat all the good food in the world, but if you're under stress all the time from your job or from your relationships, that's going to pull away from your health. So you need to find the balance of your life, not only with food, but in your personal lives, and in your work lives, and in your spiritual lives. And when you bring all that balance together, you start to heal from the inside out. I'm a huge advocate in food and healing. In the last 11 years that I've been coaching people that have come to me, I get a lot of people with neurological diseases because of my past and my experience with how I healed myself. There is no one easy diet or answer that I've ever found that works for everyone, because we're all different. Some of us can eat gluten, some of us can't, some of us like broccoli, some of us hate it. So it's a matter of piecing together with each individual, what foods work for me, what foods make me feel strong, what foods help me, what foods should I stay away from, what foods really knock me for a loop, and what do I do when I'm down? How do I get back up? How do I fight back up? How do I fight that internal struggle in me? How do I believe every day that it can happen? And that's why I come out and I speak. I'm not a public speaker. If you had told me 10 years ago I'd be doing this, I'd tell you you're crazy. But I've been given a blessing. I'm healthy now. I'm med-free. My pain is gone. It's my pay it forward to help others find the unique keys to their own individual health, the way that they eat. I only deal with food, maybe some plant-based supplements. I do not dabble in any supplements, so to speak, because supplements and plants are used as medicine as well, and they can interact with medicines that you're taking. That's why I encourage everyone, prior to making any changes, to consult with your physicians to make sure that what you're doing is safe for you. But my job is to help everyone find the unique keys to make their bodies work at their highest potential, be the healthiest, and to enjoy good health, to be able to walk. I mean, that cane, I couldn't walk to my mailbox. I was in constant pain. I had trigeminal neuralgia, I had spasms, I had restless leg syndrome. Every time I turned around, every time I took care of one thing, another thing hit. And so it's constant. I judge everything that I put into my body that I eat. I walk every single solitary day. I move, I meditate, I spiritually heal myself. I enjoy my life now. I couldn't play with my grandchildren 11 years ago. I couldn't even lift them up. I just had a new grandbaby. He's 2 months old, and I'm changing diapers and lifting him and playing with my I have 5 grandchildren, playing with all of them, and Grammy's back, and it feels so good. So I encourage you all to look deep inside yourselves and find the keys to your health. If you need my help, my cards are on the table. Anyone here today, I'd be very happy to do a complimentary health history and start you on your road to finding out what key is your special key to good health. I did bring some handouts. I encourage you to read if you have an autoimmune disease. A lot of studies have been done on leaky gut, It's fascinating reading. There is some information on it that it's now, they believe that it's being linked to many autoimmune diseases, that some bacteria from leaky gut is getting into your systems and causing these autoimmune problems. There's a handout on inflammation. I think inflammation is a huge part of MS and other diseases. That inflammation builds up in your body, you start getting the symptoms. That's when you have to be proactive in an anti-inflammatory diet to get the inflammation out of your body. And I did another one on the EWG. If any of you don't know what that is, it's called the Environmental Working Group. They're an organization out of California, and they rate the chemicals and additives and preservatives in foods. It's a very helpful site to go to. You can find out what's in the foods. So I would encourage you to do that. I put in a handout of I think it's the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. The things that if you want to save money with buying organic foods, that's the ones that you can kind of cheat on. My theory is the cleaner that you can eat, the more that you can include organic foods in your diet. It's cheaper than hospital bills, it's cheaper than doctors, and it works. I'm living proof that it works. So some hints. Food does have the power to heal, so pay attention to what you're eating. Eat organically as much as possible. Avoid preservatives and additives, not only in your foods, but on your bodies. Your skin is your largest organ. The average teenager is putting at least 124 chemicals on their bodies per day in cosmetics. Now there's a big drive coming out with cosmetics like Beauty Counter. I actually signed on because I believe in their philosophy, but a lot of Suzanne Summers is just coming out with another line because people are starting to look at what you're putting on your face. I work with a lot of the schools in the Lawrence area. I'm from Andover, Massachusetts, and I took the girls, there's Esperanza Academy is in Lawrence, and I took these girls on a whole food tour, and we were sitting in the bath and body department, and everyone was looking at all the different things, and one of the people in the bath and body department said, "Do all you girls wear lip gloss?" Because everybody wears lip gloss. And they all said, yeah, we love it. And they said, if you have it, take it out and see if you have carmine in that lip gloss. So they said, yeah, we do. And they said, do you know what that is? And the girl said, no. And they said, it's crushed beetles from South America. And ew! And so she got a little pan and they threw all of them away, and she went and she got them some holistic one, and they went home feeling quite good about that. And in the bus on the way back, we had talked about, on the way there, we had talked about what was in the foods that they were eating, and I brought them snacks I brought them little healthy goldfish in the bus and healthy snacks for them to eat on them. I took them in the store. I asked them to compare the labels. What is in the label of the one that you typically eat and what's here, and which one would you prefer to eat? And so they're like cheese, flour, salt, pepper. And then the other ones is like carrageenan, lemon gigolosiate, and they're like, what's that? And I said, if you don't know what it is, then don't eat it. So if you don't know what something is, don't eat it. Try and get away from those chemicals. My eldest daughter in high school as a senior was drinking Pepsi, Diet Coke all day long. She developed a sensitivity to aspartame. She started getting brain seizures, took it in Mass General, had a neurology, did studies. They found out that it was indeed artificial sweeteners. So please, pay attention to that. I'd rather see you drink sugar, although sugar is highly bad for you as well. Try natural ways to sweeten and eat your foods. fresh fruits. The more sweet, healthy things you eat, the less you will crave the cookies and the cakes. And I always use the analogy of when you're young and you want to have a cup of coffee because you want to look grown up, you throw like 5 sugars in so that you can tolerate the taste of it. And then as you age, you start dropping the sugar. And then if you have that cup of coffee with sugar in it, it's gross. You can't stand the taste of it. I used to love milk chocolate. I can't tolerate milk chocolate now because it tastes like I'm eating just a bar of granulated sugar. So I encourage you to read your labels and pick good, healthy ingredients. We weren't made to eat chemicals and preservatives. Our bodies, ancient times, from time day one, I mean, there wasn't chemicals on the leaves in the forest, or we didn't eat animals that were injected with hormones. Think about what you're eating. Think about the human body and how important it is to give it what makes it thrive, not artificial ingredients that our bodies reject. And I think that rejection of those chemicals and additives are what causes a lot of illness, along with stress. Stress is major. Stress depletes your immune system. When your immune system is depleted, it leaves you wide open for disease. That's why when you're under a tremendous amount of stress and you're going through a really bad time in your life, and then it's over, you're completely exhausted, you need to then dig inside yourself and build your body back up from the inside and get healthy so that you can deal with the stresses that normally come along in everyone's life. So read your labels, avoid artificial sweeteners, check your vitamin D levels. A lot of autoimmune, I know MS, I believe, I don't know about NMO, but typically our vitamin D levels are way low, and that helps. You can get vitamin D from food, but it's difficult. You can lay naked in the sun for 20 minutes, but in this climate, that's not going to work very often. So check with your physicians about your vitamin D levels. Check on, make sure that you're including anti-inflammatory foods. Eliminate the inflammatory ones. They just inflame you, joint pain, numbness. When you start to do this and your body's running at its maximum, not the maximum, but the maximum that you can do to make your body healthy, then it's going to give you the energy, the stamina, the hope, and the belief that you can make yourself well if you eat right and you believe that you can. And if you can't, you call the fire engines and you have them help you as well, because the medical profession is out there to help you as well as the holistic community. So I'll take any questions you want to throw at me. But I'm going to get a water.
I can grab you water.
Okay, there's got to be a question.
Can you talk about pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory foods? Just name some.
Salmon, blueberries, I think I gave you the list.
Oh, okay.
I think, so this list, the clean and the dirty, those are pesticides, right?
Those are pesticides, but foods that fight inflammation.
Oh, got it.
So, I mean, a lot of people stop eating nightshades. They believe that nightshades are very inflammatory. For some people that works, for some people it doesn't work, but it's something to consider, because they consider anything that grows at night to be inflammatory, like tomatoes, eggplant, and all that good stuff that everybody really loves. But, so judge what you eat of that. If it bothers you and you love it, eat it occasionally. There's an 80-20 rule that if you can eat good, healthy food 80% of the time, then you can cheat, because none of us are perfect. We're not going to eat well 100% of the time. It's impossible in our world. You could never go out to eat, because there's very few restaurants that serve really healthy food. And if you do, then you can't afford to eat anything else for the next month. So, just judge what you can, control what you eat at home as much as possible. And then if you cheat, you cheat. But take it as a lesson, because then the next day after you eat that bag of cookies, you're gonna feel so terrible once you feel healthy that you're not gonna want those cookies anymore. And it knocks you back on track. Question?
What about in your list of dairy foods? What
Yeah.
about if you buy organic? Are organic strawberries or spinach safe?
Right. The EWG every single year comes out with a new list, because as each year goes on, like strawberries were at the top of the list a few years ago, but then they started paying attention to the fact that EWG was saying, don't eat your strawberries unless they're organic. So they probably, and a lot of the farms now are trying to treat their crops with less chemicals, less chemically based fertilizers, so that the foods are healthier, because the American public is starting to demand a better quality of food.
So the answer is yes, I'm just not sure it was clear that if they are in the list of dirty, what
Yes.
you're
But they're
recommending to
organic.
do is to have it organic.
But the
Right.
organics are safe?
So the dirty ones, you buy organic.
Organic.
The clean ones, you can get away.
That's what I,
But focus on those dirty ones that contain the most pesticides and chemicals. Question? No?
So that book that you have out there, what does that typically have in it?
I wrote 2 books, first of which I co-authored with George Foreman III, using his father's principles of winning a prize fight. And that came about because his business partner was a friend of my son's, and he had high blood pressure. He was only 30 years old, and they wanted to put him on medication. So my son said, go see my mom first, see what she can do. He ended up losing 30 pounds. He never went on the medication. And his business partner, little did I know, was George Foreman's son, Monk, who runs the clubs in Boston. He just opened a series of health clubs and is expanding to New York and Philadelphia. So the first book, The Fighting Spirit, is a story of what happened to me, of how I began to figure out how to go through this process and to build up my body and to come back, and the principles that I use, like never give up, and when you're down on the mat, make sure you have somebody good in your corner. This is the perfect couple as an example, because his wife is so supportive and they're so supportive to each other. It's a beautiful thing to watch, the two of you. The second book, after I wrote Fighting Spirit, my publisher called me and said, can you write a book called Go Green for Wellness in 6 weeks? And I went, yeah, because I promised myself on a New Year's resolution never to say no to anything that was good for me, because I was afraid of it, which is why I'm standing in front of you speaking and public speaking now, which I never thought I could do. So, Go Green for Wellness is a continuation of how I got clean, why. There's a particular section that said, in the good old days when food was food, when I grew up, I mean, my grandfather raised chickens in the backyard. They were cage-free. The food industry, we didn't have great big supermarkets. We shopped locally from people that we knew that raised the cows and slaughtered the cows, and we didn't have a lot of chemicals. I can remember the first Howdy beef burger when we paid 10 cents a hamburger, and everybody thought that was great, but nobody thought about the quality of the beef that was in it. We just thought it was cheap, it was good, we were used to eating well, so we didn't think about what we were doing to ourselves. So it's more of that, and there's also 75 recipes for juices, smoothies, green entrees, and desserts. I'm a big proponent in juicing. I think raw The raw enzymes that you get from juicing are a great health benefit to you. Just you have to be careful how much of the sweet things you use in your juices because, you know, they can be fattening even though they're healthy. Yeah, so that's the 2 books. They're out there. If anybody wants one, I'd be happy to sign it. And questions?
What about, with the exception of sodium, of course, that we have to be careful with, and sugar. What about condiments? It's any particular recommendation about that? Are they okay?
Well, I mean, like mayonnaise, I will buy that organic because it's eggs. I'm bad. Well, I'm good actually. I buy mostly organic things because when I look at something that isn't organic, I just see something that could be bad for
No,
me.
but what about pepper? Hot pepper or hot, you know?
Yeah, great.
Yeah?
Hot pepper speeds up your metabolism. It's actually good for you.
Make you smile.
Turmeric, great for you. Coriander's great for you. My whole patio is fresh organic herbs. I grow them in pots outside of on my patio during the summer. So yes, spices are good for you.
When you talk about we're all different and so we respond differently to food, when you have a client come to you, do you go elimination diet to try to see how people react, or how do you interpret what would be good for Phil as opposed to what would be good for Terry?
Well, I see what they're eating.
Yeah.
Like if they're eating a lot of sugar or they're eating a lot of saturated fat or something triggers, then I start adding good foods. I don't really take away. I warn against the foods that I think that aren't good, but I start adding foods to their diet that will replace the foods that they're eating. I tell them, tell me what your favorite foods are. Tell me what your favorite snack foods are. And then I do a whole food tour with them. And I point out which ones you can get in a regular grocery store, because now the regular grocery stores are starting to carry a lot of better products. So I take them and I say, okay, this one's yours. This is a healthy alternative, a healthier alternative. I buy a lot of my organics in TJ Maxx and Marshalls. They have a great department and they're organic. Read the labels again. So there are ways to make it more affordable. You just have to look and learn, and that's part of my job as well.
So if your favorite food is ice cream,
Yeah. Oh, there's one almond milk. There's one almond milk ice cream called Chantilly Berry. Not Chantilly Berry.
There's another one that I think is
Cashew, yeah, and coconut milk ice cream.
enlightened.
Yeah, you can take bananas. Bananas, put some cacao in there, put some honey in there, whip it up and freeze it, and it's delicious. Good point. Anybody else? I know you got one. You're looking at it.
I'm thinking about ice cream, that's why I'm smiling.
Oh. Then that can be your 20. I mean, if ice cream is your absolute
That's my kryptonite.
thing, then be real good and go out and have that ice cream and enjoy every bite of it. But just don't have it every night. You know, have an alternative. Think of alternatives that make you happy. My grandchildren were just at my house. 2 of them came through last night and they said, "Grandma, you got any ice cream?" And I said, "Yeah, I have this and I have this." That's almond milk. Just taste it. I have these mint chocolate chip yogurt, organic. I don't think I'm gonna like that. I said, "Oh, God's sakes, just bite it and eat it. This is good, Grammy."
There you go. Yeah.
You know, so, and then they're not getting that sugar buzz that they get from going to Carvel.